إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن سار على سبيله ليوم الدين أما بعد. So the last matter that is to be mentioned now regarding Aqeedatul Waasitiyyah, where we left off, we last spoke about matters related to shafa'ah, intercession. And the thing that's mentioned in the last chapter on this, it mentions إخراج بعض العصاة من النار برحمة الله بغير شفاعة واتساع الجنة عن أهلها. It mentions that some of the wrongdoers will be taken out of the hellfire from Allah's mercy without anyone's intercession, an expansion of the paradise for its inhabitants. It mentions وَيُخْرِجُ اللَّهُ مِنَ النَّارِ أَقْوَامًا بِغَيْرِ شَفَاعَةٍ. Allah will take people out of the hellfire without any intercession. بَلْ بِفَضْلِهِ وَرَحْمَتِهِ, rather by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's grace and mercy and his virtue upon them. Also was mentioned وَيَبْقَى فِي الْجَنَّةِ فَضْلٌ عَمَّنْ دَخَلَهَا مِنْ أَهْلِ الدُّنْيَا فَيُنْشِئُ اللَّهُ أَقْوَامًا فَيُدْخِلُهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. Now we did cover this, but it mentions there will be vacant space in the paradise for those who enter among the people of the worldly life. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will create people specifically for Al-Jannah. وأصناف ما تضمنته دار الآخرة من الحساب والثواب والعقاب والجنة والنار وتفاصيل ذلك مذكورة في الكتب المنزلة من السماء والآثار من العلم المأثور على الأنبياء. So now, we did mention this last lesson. It mentions, as for further details regarding matters related to the hereafter, then there are a number of books, especially the books that are of Revelation, and other than this, of what comes from the prophets and messengers, and other works from the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ that go into greater details of these matters. So the next topic that we have is Al-Imanu bil-Qadri wa bayanu ma yatadammanuhu, belief in Qadr and clarifying what it consists of, what it entails. It mentions وَتُؤْمِنُ الْفِرْقَةُ النَّاجِيَةُ, and the saved sect, they believe, Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah, and they're the people of the Sunnah and the Jama'ah, bil-Qadri khayrihi wa sharrihi. They believe in Qadr, the divine decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the good and the bad of it. وَالْإِيمَانُ بِالْقَدْرِ عَلَى دَرَجَتَيْنِ كُلُّ دَرَجَةٍ تَتَضَمَّنُ شَيْئَيْنِ. When it comes to belief in the preordainments, the divine decree, then it's of two levels, and each level consists of two matters. Now, when he mentions وَتُؤْمِنُ الْفِرْقَةُ النَّاجِيَةُ أَهْلِ السُّنَّةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ بِالْقَدْرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ, it mentions that the saved sect of Ahl al-Sunnah wal-Jama'ah believe in Qadr, the good and the bad of it. هذا يدل على, this shows that the one who does not believe in Qadr, فهم ليسوا بأهل السنة والجماعة, ليسوا من أهل السنة والجماعة. Those who don't believe in Qadr, then they are not from أهل السنة والجماعة. وهذا جاء في الحديث لما أو حينما سأل جبريل عليه السلام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن الإيمان. When the angel Gabriel asked the Prophet ﷺ about Iman, from the things that he mentioned, أن تؤمن بالقدر خيره وشره, that you believe in Qadr, the good and the bad of it. And this is the sixth of the pillars of Iman. It is the sixth of the pillars of Iman. وَمَنْ أَنْكَرَ, whoever rejects al-Iman bil-Qadr فَلَيْسَ بِمُؤْمِنٍ. Whoever rejects having Iman in Qadr, then this person is not a believer. So he mentioned Al Al-Qadr is of two levels, and he's going to go into details about this. But prior to that, one thing that we want to know about Qadr, it consists of four matters. أربع مراتب. These four matters is one, علم الله الأزلي بكل شيء. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has eternal knowledge of all things. ومن ذلك علمه بأعمال العباد قبل أن يعملوها. And from that is Allah's knowledge of the actions of His servants before they even do it. Secondly, كتابة ذلك في اللوح المحفوظ. The recording of that in the preserved tablet. الثالثة, the third, مشيئته الشاملة وقدرته التامة لكل حادث. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will that encompasses everything, and His perfect might and ability for every occurrence. And the fourth, in al-khalq, Allah's creation, يعني إيجاد الله لكل المخلوقات, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala originating all of the creation. وأنه الخالق وما سواه مخلوق, and Allah is the creator and everything other than Allah is created. So it mentions تفصيل مراتب القدر, the details regarding the stations or categories of qadr. It mentions الدرجة الأولى وما تضمنته أو تتضمنه, the first level and what it consists of. الإيمان بأن الله تعالى عليم بما الخلق آملون بعلمه القديم الذي هو موصوف به أزلا وأبدا. So I mentioned the first level is belief that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the entirety of what the creatures or His creation they do with His eternal knowledge that He is attributed with forever and eternally, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows all of the circumstances and the conditions of His ibad من الطاعات والمعاصي والأرزاق والآجال, regarding their obedience, their sin, their provisions, their appointed times. ثم كتب الله في اللوح المحفوظ مقادير الخلق. Then Allah wrote in the preserved tablet the decree, the preordainment of all the creation. فأول ما خلق الله القلم. The first thing that Allah created is the pen. قال له اكتب. Allah told the pen to write. قال ما أكتب. Said, what should I write? قال اكتب ما هو كائن إلى يوم القيامة. Write what is going to be until the day of judgment. فما أصاب الإنسان لم يكن ليخطئه وما أخطأه لم يكن ليصيبه. Whatever afflicts a person was never going to miss them. Whatever misses a person was never going to come to them in the first place. Whatever Allah has not written for you is never going to be for you. And whatever Allah has written for you, nothing will stop that from coming to you. جفت الأقلام وطويت الصحف. The pens have dried and the scrolls have been closed. كما قال تعالى ألم تعلم أن الله يعلم ما في السماء والأرض إن ذلك في كتاب إن ذلك على الله يسير. Surah Al-Hajj, verse 70. Don't you know that Allah knows what is in the heavens and the earth, indeed that is in a book. A kitab meaning the Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. Inna dhalika ala Allah yasir, that is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala easy. وقال ما أصاب من مصيبة في الأرض ولا في أنفسكم إلا في كتاب من قبل أن نبرأها إن ذلك على الله يسير. Again, Surah Al-Hadid, verse 22. It mentions whatever afflicts a people, a calamity. There's no calamity from the calamities on the face. ما أصاب, no calamity afflicts anyone. في الأرض, on the earth. ولا في أنفسكم, nor within yourselves, except it's in a book. من قبل أن نبرأها, meaning in a book, in the kitab Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. من قبل أن نبرأها, before we bring it into existence. Again, that is over Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, upon Allah easy. وهذا التقدير التابع لعلمه سبحانه يكون في مواضع جملة وتفصيلا. So it mentions this divine decree preordainment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala follows His knowledge, and it occurs in a number of places, generally speaking, and in detail. فقد كتب في اللوح المحفوظ ما شاء. Allah wrote whatever He wanted in the لوح المحفوظ. وإذا خلق جسد الجنين قبل نفخ الروح فيه بعث إليه ملكا. When Allah creates the body of the fetus, before the soul is blown into it, Allah sends to it an angel. فيؤمر بأربع كلمات, and is commanded with 4 matters. فيقال له اكتب رزقه. It said to the angel, write their provisions. وعمله, their actions. وشقي أم سعيد, and whether they will be wretched or happy. ونحو ذلك, and the likes of that. فهذا التقدير قد كان ينكره غلاة القدرية قديما ومنكروه اليوم قليل. You had those from the Qadariyah, those who strayed regarding Qadr, who rejected this. Of old there was many of them, but today there are a lot less of those who reject this. So this first level consists of Iman, belief in Allah's knowledge, complete knowledge, and also the writing and recording of everything within the Lawh al-Mahfuz. And from this one is to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything and nothing escapes the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it comes to the qadr, the taqdeer, you have taqdeer al-am, the general qadr, and that is inclusive of everything that is going to be, that is written within the Lawh al-Mahfuz. Mahfuz, preserved. So Al-Lawh al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. Mentions taqdeer khas, as for the specific decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this goes back to 3 things. Taqdeer al-umri, And that's based on the lifespan, the lifetime decree. Then we have التقدير الحولي, the yearly decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we have تقدير يومي, the daily decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for تقدير العمري, as it came in the hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud, that the angel was commanded to record the provisions and the lifespan, the knowledge, the actions, whether it's going to be happy or wretched. All of these things were commanded. This is taqdir al-umr. This is the preordainment of the lifetime. As for taqdirun hawli, the yearly decree, then this is ma yuqaddaru fi laylat al-qadr. This is what is decreed on laylat al-qadr min waqa'i al-am, regarding that which is going to happen throughout the year. As Allah He mentions, فِيهَا يُفْرَقُ كُلُّ أَمْرٍ حَكِيمٍ. Within that night, dispersed is every matter of due wisdom. Therein, everything is decreed on that night. Then we have تقدير اليومي, وهو ما يقدر من حوادث اليوم من حياة وموت وعز وذل إلى غير ذلك. That which is the daily preordainment of what occurs every day from life and death and honor and humiliation and other than that. As I mentioned, كل يوم هو في شأن. Every day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is busy with matters. And despite that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is never busied away from His creation. All of the affairs, the appointed time, their sustenance, everything. وعن ابن عباس رضي عنهما إن الله خلق لوحا محفوظا من درة بيضاء دفتاه من ياقوتة حمراء قلمه نور وكتابته نور وعرضه ما بين السماء والأرض ينظر فيه كل يوم 360 نظرة يحيي ويميت يعز ويذل ويفعل ما شاء فذلك قوله سبحانه كل يوم هو في شأن. So it mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the preserved tablet from a white pearl. Also, its two sides are from reddish rubies. This is about the preserved tablet. قلمه نور, its pen is light. وكتابته نور, its writing is light. And its vastness is between the heavens and the earth. It mentions He looks into it 360 times daily. Allah gives life and causes death. Allah honors and humiliates those whomsoever He wants. And this is the meaning of كل يوم هو في شأن. Every day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing matters into play, into existence. As for those who reject Qadr, and today there are a few, and in the past you had more so, the group, the Qadariyah, those who would reject the Qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second level of Qadr and what it consists of, the second level and what it consists of is فهي مشيئة الله النافذة وقدرته الشاملة. This goes back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, that which Allah wills, وقدرته الشاملة, and His all-encompassing might. وهو الإيمان بأن ما شاء الله كان. It's belief that whatever Allah wills will be, وما لم يشاء لم يكن, and whatever does not will not be. وأنه ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من حركة ولا سكون إلا بمشيئة الله سبحانه لا يكون في ملكه ما لا يريد وأنه سبحانه على كل شيء قدير من الموجودات والمعدومات فما من مخلوق في الأرض ولا في السماء إلا الله خالقه سبحانه لا خالق غيره ولا رب سواه. So it mentions here, there is no movement within the heavens and the earth, nor stillness, except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's nothing that occurs in the dominion of Allah Azza wa Jalla except that Allah wants it to happen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over all things is able, from bringing things into existence or for things not to be in existence. So whoever makes that so there's nothing from the creation in the land nor in the heavens except Allah is the creator of it, subhanahu. And there's no creator alongside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nor is there a Lord other than Allah Azza wa Jal. So that is the second level of Qadr. So one thing that is to be known, nothing is going to occur on the face of the earth except that Allah wills it. Also, Allah is able to do all things. Nothing is outside of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ability.
What was the last thing you just said? Sorry,
There's nothing outside of Allah's ability. One of the things that is important to affirm is that Al-Qadr huwa sirrullah. Qadr is the secret of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لا يعلم أحدا لا يعلم أحد ما قدر الله حتى بعد وقوعه. No one knows what Allah has decreed except after it's been decreed. Of the thing that's also mentioned, لا تعارض بين القدر والشرع ولا بين تقديره للمعاصي وبغضه له. There's no contradiction between Qadr and legislation, and between Allah's preordaining sins and hating them. ومع ذلك فقد أمر العباد بطاعته وطاعة رسله صلى الله عليهم وعلى أهلهم السلام عليهم الصلاة والسلام ونهاهم عن معصيته. So mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded his ibad to worship him and to obey his messengers and prohibited them from disobeying him. وهو سبحانه يحب المتقين المحسنين والمقسطين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the people of taqwa, the good doers, and the people of justice. ويرضى عن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لا يحب الكافرون. Allah also is pleased with those who believe, they do righteous actions, and they don't love the disbelievers. Nor are they pleased with the people of evil. Allah is not pleased with the people of evil. وَلَا يَأْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. Nor does Allah command anyone to do anything of immorality. وَلَا يَرْضَى لِعِبَادِ الْكُفْرِ. Allah is not pleased for his ibad kufr. وَلَا يُحِبُّ الْفَسَادِ. Nor does Allah love evil. When it comes to the existence of things that are bad, for example, this goes back to something that is beloved and pleasing to Allah. For example, with the presence of sin, we have tawbah. We have tawbah with the existence of sin. With the existence of poverty, we also have charity. With the existence of those who tell lies, we also have the existence of the truthful. So things are known by their opposites also. When it comes to those who go into misguidance regarding the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have Al-Majusiyyah. They are the ones who, the Majus, they are the ones who deny qadr, the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether they believe in Allah's command and His prohibition, the worst of them reject knowledge and writing, for example, the worst of the Majus, they negated Allah's knowledge and also the writing of everything. And as for the general ones of them, they negate that the general will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His creation and His ability. That's the Mu'tazila and those who agree with them. The second group of those who are astray is Al-Mushrikiyah. They are the ones who they affirm Qada wal Qadr, the divine preordainment and decree. وَأَنْكَرُوا الْأَمْرَ وَالنَّهِي. And they reject the command and the prohibition. Allah mentions, سيقول الذين أشركوا لو شاء الله ما أشركنا ولا آباؤنا ولا حرمنا من شيء. Allah mentions, those who fall into shirk, those who worship other than Allah, they will say, if Allah willed, we would not have associated partners with Him, nor our forefathers, and we would not have prohibited anything. And this is an unfortunate reality of those who try to make judgment or use as evidence al-qadr. for their wrongdoings. The third group, هم الإبليسية. Also, people that are inclined towards tasawwuf, they fall into this as well. As for the last group, Iblisiyya, then they are those أقروا بالأمرين, they affirm two matters, لكن جعلوا هنا تناقضا من الرب, but they say that there's some contradiction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وطعنوا في حكمته وعدله, they transgressed regarding Allah's honor and His knowledge and His justice. They transgress in Allah's wisdom and His justice, just like Iblis, when he was commanded to prostrate to Adam, he negated fulfilling the command and believed he was better than Adam alayhi salam. As for the people of righteousness, the people of guidance, فَيُؤْمِنُونَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى عَلِيمٌ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ, Allah knows everything, وَكَتَبَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ, Allah wrote everything, وَخَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ, Allah created everything, وَلَهُ مَشِيَّتُهُ التَّامَّةِ, and Allah has His complete will. And the person reminds himself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the people of taqwa, people of goodness, and the people of justice. No, so that meant that reflects that Allah loves those who attribute themselves with the most praiseworthy characteristics and attributes. And also that Allah is not pleased with, nor does He love those who adorn themselves with attributes that are not praiseworthy, such as disbelief, which are hated by Allah, kufr, disbelief, and immorality and evil, and the likes, these low, dispraised characteristics. And within Allah's qadr and decree, you have the legislation. Allah does not legislate anything other than that which is best for mankind. Allah does not legislate anything of evil or immoral, nor does Allah legislate that anyone caused to kufr and disbelief from the prophets and messengers. La. Rather, everything that Allah has legislated is that which is pleasing to Him. But of the main things that a person is to remind himself with is that Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah affirm and believe in Qadr in its entirety, and we know that this is the secret of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the matters of the unseen, but we don't negate anything that Allah has not negated from Himself. And it's of the things that we haven't been advised to go into great details or depth in. Rather, Qadr is a matter of acceptance. Rather, it is a matter of acceptance. I mentioned ولا تنافي بين إثبات القدر وإسناده أفعال العباد إليهم حقيقة وأنهم يفعلونها باختيارهم. Also, there is no negation or contradiction between affirming qadr and the actions of the servants, worshippers, in reality, and that they do it of their own choice. العباد فاعلون حقيقة والله خالق أفعالهم. The worshippers, they do actions in reality. Allah is the one who's created the actions. والعبد هو المؤمن والكافر. The servant is the mu'min and the kafir. البر والفاجر, the righteous and the evil one. المصلي والصائم, the one who is praying and fasting. وللعباد قدرة على أعمالهم. The worshippers, they have ability over their actions. وَلَهُمْ إِرَادَةٌ, and they have will and want. وَاللَّهُ خَالِقُهُمْ وَخَالِقَ قُدْرَتُهُمْ وَإِرَادَتُهُمْ. Allah is the one who created them and creates their ability and their want. كما قال الله تعالى لمن شاء منكم أن يستقيم, for the ones who, from among you who want to be steadfast. وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ رَبُّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And you do not will anything except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. وهذه درجة من القدر يكذب بها عامة القدرية الذين سماهم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مجوس هذه الأمة ويغلو فيها قوم من أهل الإثبات حتى سلبوا العبد قدرته واختياره ويخرجون عن أفعال الله وأحكامه حكمها ومصالحها. As for, you have those who deny qadr, in general is the qadariyah, those who the Prophet ﷺ called majus of this ummah, the fire worshippers. They go to extreme and to the point where they say the servant has no ability nor any choice. Rather, it's compelled upon them. And they also say they also take out Allah's actions and His His rulings and His wisdoms and the benefits. They negate all of these matters. So, of the things that one is to understand when it comes to the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah has decreed the actions of His ibad and created them and their actions, and they have a choice in that which they do. And those who went astray from this is the Jabariyah, those who say that the servant is compelled and has no choice in anything that they do. Or those who say Allah doesn't know what the servant is going to do until after it happens. Both of these are from the misguided ideologies that are had. Also, it affirms that nothing happens except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in general, when it comes to the qadr, and this is the general will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah wants, and the things Allah has created, and the servants, that they carry out their actions in reality with choice. And it's whether what we want agrees with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it will happen. Then it will happen. But if what we want doesn't agree with that which Allah has willed for us, it will never happen. So Allah means وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ Allah. You do not will except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills. And just to be aware of the ideologies of those who have strayed in qadr, by saying that we have no choice, we are only compelled, or Allah doesn't have, they negate Allah's knowledge of our actions until after we have performed them. All of these ideologies are from the ways of those who have strayed. But as for the believer, they remind themselves, nothing happens except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows everything. Allah created everything. And nothing will occur except by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's not for a person to go into depths trying to overly contemplate upon this, as that's, and nowadays to argue about this. And this is something that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ rebuked the Sahaba for harshly when he came out and saw them arguing regarding qadr. And he mentioned, is this something he was commanded with? This is not what they were commanded to do. Rather, qadr is a matter of acceptance. A person accepts that which Allah has decreed for them and takes the means. For example, a person is sick, make dua for cure. Allah has decreed that a person is sick. Allah has also decreed that if a person makes dua, they may be relieved of their sickness. So these are matters related to al-qadr. Scholars have also authored books specific on this topic, whether it's any makana mujiza or mutawila, that which is concise and that which goes into lengthy detail. But inshallah, the next thing that we will come to cover is going to be the reality of Iman and the ruling of one who falls into a major sin. But we'll stop there today, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa salli wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Naam, habibi wa sallam. Yeah, I've just finished now.